Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining this live stream. I'm Cassie. Hello. And today I'm going to be giving you an introduction to Max, doing some video and audio manipulation. Thanks for joining this live stream.
Oh, sorry.
I'm Cassie. Sorry, I had the the YouTube on so I could see the chat there, but now it's off. Sorry for that doubling of audio. Okay, anyway, yeah, so today I'm going to be giving you an intro to audio and video in Max. And we're going to be using Max. Couple things I want to point out just before we get started is that I have all the workshop materials in a repository on GitHub. And if you want to just download them, you can just click download, go to clone or download and just download zip. And then I have all of these files in my Max 8, it's in like documents, Max 8 library. And then I have like a folder for this stuff. You could also just work within the folder that you download, but I have some like songs and videos and also some like helper patches. So I recommend like working, I just like copy them over to a new folder, but I recommend working them there. Okay, so let's go back to our Max patch window. And now we're here. And so when you open Max, I'm also using the latest Max 8. I think if you're using Max 7, you won't be able to use any of the Vizzie has been updated in Max 8. So we open Max, we get this kind of like overwhelming empty canvas. And this is where we're going to be creating our patches. In Max, we create patches, which is like boxes connected with patch cords. And we're going to be doing audio video manipulation. With Max, you can do like a bunch, you can do like so many things. It's kind of overwhelming, but we're going to keep it constrained for now. And so the first thing we're going to do is over on the left, this is where we can get access to certain things to pull into our canvas or patcher window. And we see there's one with a V called Vizzie, and that's going to give us access to all of these different video objects. And Vizzie is for doing, you can do video manipulation and also video synthesis. And we're just going to drag in stuff. So the first thing you want to do is get some video input, right? If we're doing video manipulation, we need video input. So we click on input, and then we click on player. You can actually just drag it in. And then we have this object that we can play a video in. You kind of notice a few things about it. We see it says like stop, drop a movie here. It has some controls. It has some like some dots here with some meaning, some dots here. And we'll get to those. So first, let's like drop a movie in here because that's what it's telling me to do. And we'll see here that there's also in the left toolbar, there's a section that says video. It has this like play and that we're gonna click that and we can just drag in a video. And I'm gonna check include built-in content. And it comes with, the Max comes with just like a few videos for messing around. I'm gonna drag in this one called blading. Cool, we'll notice that it like starts playing this video. And I'm just gonna zoom in. And then, okay, so this is not super exciting. We're just kind of like playing a video. One thing you'll notice that is if I like start pressing, like clicking these, like nothing happens. All I can do is move it. And this is because we're in like the Max edit mode. And that means that you're like moving around your objects and like connecting them with patch cords. And if you want to like, use the interface, what you have to do is lock your patch. And there's a few different ways to lock your patch. You can click on this lock icon, and then you'll notice that the dots in the background go away, and then you can click stop or play, change the playback speed, go backwards and so on. What you can also do is hold command and click in the background. For whatever reason, that's like what I usually do. Another thing you can do is if you want to interact with this and you want to be in edit mode, you can hold Command or Control on Windows and press the buttons. You'll notice that like the background still has like the dots, but I'm in edit mode. Okay, so now we're able to have video input, and then let's figure out how we get video output. And so there's another section in Vizzie called output, and we're gonna drag in this one called viewer. Cool. And then we're gonna connect these. We're gonna send the video output from, this is called an outlet, to this object's inlet. Now we can see that we have this video flowing here, and it's not the most exciting patch because we haven't done, like there's nothing happening in between here and here. So it's just like, cool, we're just like routing this video and doing the same thing. But you'll notice that when I hover over this patch cord, it says GL texture units and numbers. And this just means that video is flowing in this patch cord from this outlet to this inlet. One thing to note is that you can only connect outlets to inlets. You can't connect like outlets to outlets or inlets to inlets. And so also when I connected these, I like clicked on the outlet, and now I don't have my hand on the mouse. Then you can like drag it around and then click it. And if you want to get out of this, you can hit escape. Cool. Another thing you can do if you, so this is kind of like a small window, but if you were doing something like a, I don't know, like a VJ set or something, you can also connect it to this module called projector. And then you have like this other screen, and I can hit full screen, and then I'd be able to show this to anyone, you know, then I could like have my control be here and that. Elsewhere, you can also use webcam input if you want. That's fun. I'm not going to go to input and just show you that. Grabber. Yeah, you can already see my face now, so it's just two. So yeah, that's how you do webcam input if you want it. And then you could connect this to here, and then you can see my web. Okay, whatever, you get the idea. Oh wait, why did I do that? Okay, so now we have our player and our viewer, our first two Vizzie modules. And now we want to add an effect, because this is like pretty boring. This is like you've literally just showed me how to make QuickTime or some VLC or something. Okay, so now we want to add in a video effect. And the way that we do that is we go into the effect panel here. And so there's a lot of different effects. The names don't always totally map to, you're not like, oh, I know exactly what that is doing. So I recommend just like playing around with them and seeing how they look. But I'm gonna pull in this one called hue Salier, which stands for hue, saturation, luminance. And so you can change those parameters of the video. And in order to get it in the middle here, two different ways to do that. You could click on this patch cord and then click on this red thing, connect it to the inlet, then connect the outlet. We'll see we get this. Or I'm gonna undo that by doing Command Z or Control Z in Windows. You can have this object selected and hold Shift, and then I'll just stick it in the middle. Very useful. Use it all the time. Cool. And then I can hold Command or Control in Windows and just, you know, change around these parameters. And it's like, cool. Getting some fun stuff. Though this still is kind of like a thing you could do in video editing software, right? You can just add effects. I'm going to add in another effect called delayer. And so I can add this before, and you can combine effects. I'm going to use this shift technique again. Another thing is that if you have this patch cord that's like over an object like this, and it's really annoying, you can select it and then type Shift Command or Control Windows Y, and then it'll route it around. And that's under Arrange Route Patch Cords. Okay, so now we have two effects, and then I can like turn on the delay more. We have more delay. Yeah, we're getting some audio effects, and that's pretty fun. There are also some other things that maybe you'd think are audio effects that are under this section called transform. These are changing like the position and scaling of the video, or I guess the effects are not changing any of that stuff. So for example, I could put in this one called collider and then stick it in here. And then it makes this like kaleidoscope thing. That's pretty fun. So yeah, kind of, you can barely tell it's the original video. I guess if I took out these other effects, it'd be easier to tell, but yeah. You can also look under transform. I'm gonna undo that, delete that. Cool. Okay, so still we're in the like, we haven't done anything that you can't do with video editing software, but now we're getting to the meat. We're getting to the exciting stuff. So one thing I don't like is that I have to like manually move all these knobs around. I'm like, you know, my computer is good at doing tasks for me that I don't want to do. It's good at doing randomness. It's good at running algorithms. It's good at all the stuff that I'm not good at as a human. And so I want to automate this knob turning. And the way that I do that is I go to the section in Vizzie called generate. And these are going to generate data that we can like feed to the knobs. And I'll show you how to do that. That we can, wow, brain just stop for a moment, that we can use to automate our knobs. Okay, so I'm going to pull in this one called wander. And doesn't really tell us what it does, but I'm just going to put it in. So then it has like some inlets, and its data is being put at in that outlet. And if I hover over this outlet, it says data output. So I'm like, great. I'm just going to like hook it into one of these things and like see what happens. And like already I see that this crossfade is like turning, which is cool. It's kind of hard to like visualize what's happening here. And so the way that I like to visualize these is to use a Max object called multi-slider. So all of these so far have been what are called Vizzie modules. And now, so Max consists of like a few different types of objects, where there's Max objects, there's MSP objects, there's jitter objects, and then these Vizzie modules are actually built of Max, MSP, and jitter objects, and I'll show you that a little bit later. But let me show you. We're gonna use a Max object called multi-slider to visualize this. And we can get that through going up to in this top toolbar. We have access to Max objects, and there's one that's called sliders. So I'm going to click on that. Then if I hover over, we'll see there's one called multi-slider. You may be wondering why I'd be using a multi-slider to visualize this. And you'll see in a moment, because the multi-slider is kind of like you can imagine like a mixing board, like one of those giant mixing boards at a recording studio or something. But we're not using it for that at all. And it's one of the nice things about some of these Max objects is that you can use them in unexpected ways. So if I just connect this to the multi-slider, kind of see that our value is changing. And it seems like it's kind of similar to this crossfade, right? Where it's like, it's really close to here and it's at the top here. What I want to do is like plot all the points over time. And really all I have to do is that multi-slider just has this built into it. But I need to change the properties of multi-slider. In order to do that, I need to go to the right toolbar and go to inspector. And then I need to change some stuff about it. So I can change so many different things about it. Like I could change the slider color to like pink. Sure, let's make it bright pink. What I need to do is change it from, there's this, if I scroll down to the bottom, there's this one that's like set style, slider style. I'm sure it's hard to read. I'm gonna try to zoom. Yeah, set style, slider style. I'm gonna change that to point scroll. And then we'll see we kind of have more of like a moving plot. The other thing I need to change is that one thing I haven't told you yet is that all of these different knobs, like these all take in numbers from 0 to 1. Like here, we're just sending this a stream of numbers to change this knob value, and it's a value from 0 to 1. But if you see in the inspector, we have this like set min max range. It's a value from -1 to 1. So it's just always going to be in this upper half. And I don't want that. So I'm going to change this to 0 to 1. One important thing is that the dots are really important because that denotes that the numbers can be floating point. And that means that they have a decimal value, right? So any number that, if you have a number that's between 0 and 1, of course it's going to be a decimal, right? Because there's no, if you just have integers, there's no numbers between 0 and 1. Cool. So we haven't really noticed a difference because this is just in the upper half. Maybe if I make this, oh no, that makes it slower. I can make it faster. Oh yeah, now it's jumped down. And now this crossfader is moving wildly fast. Yeah, and I can like change these parameters about it. Like the step size will just make it not jump, make it jump around less. This makes it move slower. Yeah, and there's many different types of generators that you can use. Like I also like this one called oscillator. And this is going to give us like waves. So let's take this. And so there's a few, I'm going to also visualize it. And so what I want to do is like copy and paste this and connect this so we can see the output. I'm going to, there's two different ways to like copy and paste. I could literally just do control or command C and then command V, and then it's connected. Great, and then I can see. Or what I can do, I'm just going to undo that, is I can just click on it and then I can press Option or Alt on Windows and drag it over. And that's also nice. It's fewer keystrokes if you're like really concerned about your keystroke optimization. Then you can change the waveform. Like I want to change it to sine. And then we have like our classic sine wave. And then I could just connect this to hue, sure. Right, and we can see our hue value just changing up and down. Cool. This is like a point in a workshop that I would ask if there are any questions, but since there are none in the chat, I'm just going to keep going. Cool. Next thing I want to do is show you other stuff you can do with Vizzie. So I'm going to show you how you could mix videos together. So I'm actually going to get rid of these for now. Might bring them back in, but I'm going to just show you a different part of Vizzie where there's a section in here called Mix Composite, and this is for mixing videos together. You can do, there's like a chroma key here, so you could do like that green screening stuff. I'm going to pull in this one called Mix Fader. And so what I need here is actually another video to mix it with. So I'm going to take this out, connect it to video 1, connect video here, and then I need another video. So I need another player. So then I go to Input, Player, drag it in, I'll connect it, and then I'll add a video. So let me go back to my videos here. I'm going to add one that I included with the workshop. I have this like clouds one. Oh, work with me. Okay, no, I don't want to play it. There we go. And I'm dragging it in. So now we're able to like mix these videos together. And this is cool because you can actually change the like operations for how these videos mix together, which is pretty fun. Some of them like look really, for me, look really unexpected. I don't really know what greater than P is, but you know, I like how it looks. I like how the cloud gets all multicolored. It's cool. Yeah, and then I could change the effects here, right? Then my hues change. I think if you want, you could also just combine them in like a way that doesn't distort the colors. I don't know what that is. Plus? No. Times? No. Well, yeah, maybe it's times. I'd have to take out, oh, you can also turn off effects. Yeah, I guess times is like, maybe it doesn't distort it, but if then I changed it to min, you know, maybe it was those effects that are changing the color. Oh yeah, that's when it changes its colors. There we go. Yeah, so you get the idea. Whoa, that's fun. Cool. Next, and there's lots of different ways to mix. You can also have like, there's one called like 4 mixer that you can have so much control over the relative levels of videos, and that's really useful. I'm not going to go over every Vizzie module because there's like a lot, but I really recommend just like playing with them. One thing you can do, like let's say I wanted to know how to use this chroma here. It's like the green screen. Every single Max object and Vizzie object has like a help patch that shows you how to use it. And the way that you access it is you like hover to the left and there's this green arrow and you click on it and then you click help. And then it opens this other patch that shows you how to use it. And then you can literally just unlock this patch and then copy and paste stuff into where you're working. And that's something I do all of the time. Highly recommend just copy and pasting stuff. You don't need to do everything from scratch. You know, that's what the help patches are there for. I'm going to delete that. You can just delete any object by hitting the delete key. By the way, I don't think I explicitly said that. Next thing I want to show you how to do is say you were, you know, like if you're doing a VJ set or something, maybe you'd want like one of these videos to stay static and you'd want like one of these videos to just like switch through, you know, maybe like in time with the music or something. And so what I'm going to do is show you how you could select from a bunch of different files. And so I've put all of my video files in a folder, and the way that we can access all of them is using this object called movie folder. I'm going to drag this down here and make space for you. Okay. Mix fader, movie folder. Okay. And so it says drag a folder here to load movies. So I could just drag a folder in. Maybe I can just show you how to do that. So I have my like media videos folder here. So I could just drag this in and it would work. But I don't want to have to do that. Like say I like close this patch. I don't want to have to do that every time. And so we've been controlling the behavior of Vizzie modules using numbers, but you can also control the behavior of modules using what are called messages. And messages are super, super, super fundamental to Max. And if you look in the upper toolbar here and I scroll or hover over this one with an M, it says message, and I can drag it in and it gives me like an empty thing. Empty input box with these rounded corners is more specific than thing. I can just highlight and delete that. If I click the M key, it'll also just create a message. That's what I always do. I don't think I ever go up here, but if you're feeling like you can't remember, you have to like memorize keyboard shortcuts. So then if I hover over this inlet, you can see it says choose a movie or send the folder menu to populate the folder message to populate the menu. And so what that means is that you send a message that looks like you write folder and then the name of the folder. And I know my folder is called videos. And because I'm working within, actually I haven't saved this. So actually let me save this. I'm gonna call this Vizzie Fun. And so because this patch is saved within this folder, that if I look in, it says media videos, it like can see that this folder exists, so it knows where to find it. So I'm actually gonna, I don't know how to unpopulate this movie folder so you can see this working. I'm just gonna delete it and drag a new one in. If I just undo, it's gonna be, yeah, there we go. So then if I click, so notice that even though this message is connected, it's like not sending out data all the time like the generators were, right? When we connected the generator, it was just constantly outputting numbers. With messages like this, you have to explicitly click them to send that data out, right? It's not like happening all the time. And that's like a thing you'll get used to in Max, is like sometimes stuff is outputting all the time and sometimes you have to either time it. You have to time it where like you have some patch that will like make it output, or you have to click on it. So here we're just going to click on it. So I'm going to hold Command, click on it, and we'll see we now have all those videos to choose from. So now I could be like jellyfish. And it has my like jellyfish floating video. It's like between them. This is really nice. So like you could imagine like if I were doing a VJ set, I would maybe be able to, I would just be like, okay, cool. I want to switch to this video this time. Or I just click the same one, this mushroom growing, whatever. You get the idea. Cool. Just gonna glance over and see if there are any questions. There are not. Great. Otherwise, I'm just gonna keep going. Oh, another thing I want to show you is that I don't want to quit and like lose. So what happened? Like, how do you save the state of your patch? You might think that if I save this patch, all of these knob values would be saved in their exact positions. And that's actually not true. And the reason is that like, you know, in Max, you're kind of like building your code, but you're also building your interface simultaneously. And like, you might want to have different presets for your interface. You don't necessarily want to save that, or you want to be able to save different versions of your interface. So if like it overrode it every time, you might be unhappy. And so the easiest way to save the state is to go back to this right toolbar. And you'll see there's something called Show Snapshots. And so I'm going to click it. We'll see that there's nothing over here. Oh, you have to have no objects selected. Oh, like weirdly has a snapshot. I'm going to delete that one. I'm going to click. I think it's because in practice, I named this file exactly the same way. So I'm going to click Add New Snapshot, and we'll see it's called Vizzie Fun. And then I'm going to click Take Snapshot. And that just saves my whole state at this time, right? So then what I could do is like, I could create another snapshot that's called like, let me rename this, rename snapshot other, it's a bad name. And then I could make this, I could change this operation to, oh no, sorry. Change this operation to, say I want like, not pass. And then I go back to my snapshots and then click on other and then click take snapshot. And then if I click on this other one and I click restore snapshot, then you see it changes that operation. And then I click on this one and restore snapshot, it changes that. Cool. So yeah, that's how you use snapshots. They're super useful. I don't want you to lose your work because that's really annoying. So I recommend taking them, especially if you you've like connected a bunch of effects and you really like how it looks. Take a snapshot. Take a snapshot. You'll be very happy you did. Another thing I want to show you is I had said that all Vizzie modules are actually, they consist of a bunch of Max objects. And if you want to just kind of like poke around and see what that looks like, you can hover over this green box, the green circle, it's not a box, green circle. And then if you click open, it opens it in another patch. And then I could, if I click this thing that says patching mode, then it'll untangle the whole patch and you can kind of see how it looks. And these objects that have like the bar on the top and bottom, those are Max objects. These ones that begin with jit.gl, those are jitter objects. So yeah, if you want to like know how it works internally, but this is probably really overwhelming. Yeah, so that's kind of like what they are under the hood, just for your information. So I'll be creating more Max objects, so that'll make sense. Another thing you can do is like, if you want to, like, let's say I'm like trying, let's say I'm like happy with this and I want to start, like I'm like, this is like my VJ interface and I want to start building stuff. What I could do is I could bring in UI objects or user interface objects to kind of like build a subset of this. And then I can play around with those, because if I were, my example here is the VJ set, and maybe that's not what you're doing, but it could just be like you're trying to make something visual and you just want like an interface to play with. It doesn't need to be like a performance or whatever. So in order, like if I want to start adding my own UI elements, and this is something that Max is super great at, is like building your own interfaces for play. I'm going to click on this one called up here on the top called sliders, and I'm just going to drag in a slider. And so remember that these Vizzie objects, they take values from 0 to 1. So I'm going to click on the inspector and make sure that that's my settings. The first thing I need to do is change it to float output. And then I need to change the range from, you see it says minimum, and that has the range. And I want to be, oop, did not work, to 1. Okay, let me zoom out. And then I could, for example, connect this to my crossfade. And then if I command click, we see that my crossfade is changing. Cool. That's exciting. And then what you can do is, you know, one thing you could also do is you could have buttons to turn on and off effects. So I could come up here, and there's one called buttons. Oh, Vizzie. Max is being a little slow. I think it's because I'm going to delete this viewer, and I'm going to change it into a projector. So I've noticed that that's a little faster. Also could just be because I'm like streaming doing this. Okay, cool. Yeah, there's our window. I think it'll be a little faster like this. Yeah, there we go. For whatever reason, yeah, the viewer can sometimes be a little slow. Okay, so we have our UI. So we're trying to like build our own custom interface here. And so I also want to add in a one that turns on and off different effects. So I can grab this one called text button. And let's say I want this to turn on and off the delay, right? So I could have it selected, click on the inspector, and then I want to change how it works. And this is just something I know from using this object, but I just know I want to turn it on to toggle mode. And then I want to change the on label to delay on, and the off label to delay off. I know there's like a kind of an overwhelming number of parameters in here, but you can also filter here. Like if I want, yeah, I guess you don't even, it's sometimes hard to know what you're looking for. I just recommend like looking through them. Okay, so then if I connect the first outlet to the first inlet here, and I click, it'll turn it on and off. That's what we want. Cool. So then to get to our like, you notice that when I like opened up this mix fader, we had this presentation mode, and we can do the same thing when we're building our interfaces. So what I might want to do is then I want to add, so let's just see what presentation mode looks like right now. So if I click on the lower left-hand corner, there's this one that kind of looks like an easel, and it says presentation mode. If I click on it, we see nothing. That's not what we want. What we want to do is add these UI objects to presentation mode. So I'm going to select them both. I'm going to click on the inspector, and then I'm going to click include in presentation, right? So then we'll see that now they have this red border. And then if I click on presentation mode, then I can drag these over, and then I would have like, then you could imagine like building your whole interface here. You also notice that if I'm still like in an edit mode where I can move these objects around, and I have to use control to move them. But then like really this is the kind of thing that you could imagine that you have this on like another screen, or you have this side by side, and then you're able to change the values without without having like that whole kind of overwhelming interface. So really, really useful building your own interfaces. And then you can click presentation mode off, get back to your patch if you want to like change connections and stuff. You'll notice that all the patch cords are gone in presentation mode, so you can't change any of the connections here, but it's useful for building an interface to play around. Cool. Last thing I want to say is that you'll notice, like I said, that Vizzie values can be always values between 0 and 1. Like that's how Vizzie modules are designed. But if you like say you want, you know, this delay, for example, this delay value is a value between 120 and 0. You can actually send a message to this to set the exact value. And all you have to do is you type M, you would type like exact, you would type 87, and then you connect that to the one that's connecting, that sets the value for the delay control. You can hover over the inlet to see, and then you command click it, and then you'll see it sets that exactly. And that's sometimes nice for like, it's especially nice, you know, for example, for something like this operation where it's like you can set the operations from value between 0 and 1, but like, oh my God, I'm like, okay, I have to like do this calculation where this one is like 2 out of however many to figure it out. I don't want to do that math. So you can just do like exact abs diff, connect that to operator mode. Yeah, you see then it changes to that. So it's really useful for stuff like that. I'm gonna change this back to greater than P. Yeah, that's what we had. Cool. So lastly, in our Vizzie section, I just want to show you one kind of example that is maybe a little more complicated that you could play with that I made ahead of time. And so this is an example that does let me actually go back to my Vizzie fun, save this and close it so you don't get confused. So here's an example that's doing like some chroma keying and some pattern generation. So they're these Vizzie modules that will like generate patterns. And I can actually unlock this and put in a viewer and show you what it looks like. And these pattern generators are useful for doing like video synthesis. So it's generating a pattern like that, and then I'm just smushing it so it's only white and black values, and then I'm like using a chroma key to select one of the colors and say I want to like replace it with one of the video, and then I'm replacing the other part with a different video. And so you have this like pattern composite of 2 different videos that then I'm like moving the position of the pattern with this generator. So just like to give you an example of some of the more like fun and advanced stuff you can do. And yeah, cool. Not gonna save that. So next what I wanna do is show you how to do some, I'm opening my Vizzie fun again. Unlock this. Next thing I want to do is show you how to do some audio reactive stuff. Let's bring in some audio. The way I'm going to do that is I'm actually going to let me just make some room here. Let me route this friend. Shift Command Y. Move this around. I'm actually going to delete these. I don't think I need them. I'm still building my interface. Okay, so first of all, if we're going to build something audio reactive, we need audio, right? So how do we bring in audio? If you go over to the left panel, what are directions? You click on audio, we'll see that we have like a ton of like built-in content. I included just like a bunch of songs. So I have this one, and I'm gonna play. And if I hit play, okay, I don't hear anything. There's a great question, which is asking, why are some of the patch cables blue? So the blue patch cables are saying, it's like the type of data that's being passed through the cable. So for example, here, like this is sending a JIT GL texture, but from here, if I hover over one of these patch cables, these are sending messages. That's the difference. The color of the patch cords denotes like what is being sent over them. Though this one is not blue, and I don't know why. Maybe it's an issue with Vizzie that I don't know about, but that's what's happening with those. And we'll see that patch cables that are sending audio have a different color, which you'll see right now. Okay, so I have this thing playing. We'll see that it's not doing anything. We can't hear any audio. That's really annoying. So first thing we need to do, which is if you want to have any audio, you need to turn audio on. And there's this thing in the lower right-hand corner that says audio on off. And you'll know that it's on when it's blue. And also you'll see that this object looks different, right? It seems more active. I don't know. It looks like inactive when that's off. So if I hit play or command click play, see that we still don't hear anything. And that's because we actually need to connect it to our speakers. And so we need to create what are called some MSP objects in order to play our audio. And so now we're going to create MSP objects. And the way that we create a max or MSP or jitter object is what you can do is click on the top here, and you can drag in an object and it'll create this empty object box. Or what you can do is type N and it'll open a new object box. I usually will type N and I like never will drag it in. But if you just start typing stuff, it'll autocomplete. And so this is just when you're learning Max, MSP, jitter, like when you're learning Max, you will like learn this vocabulary of different object names and what they do. And that's part of learning Max. So I know that in order to play audio, you need two objects. You need one called live.gain, which gives us like a volume meter. And then remember that audio has two channels. So coming out of this object, it has two channels. You'll notice that it says playlist tilde. So when I dragged this audio into the Max patch, it created an object called playlist tilde. So I'm going to connect these and we can see that we now have some volume. I'm going to make this quieter so it's not overwhelming. We still can't hear it, and that's because we need to connect it to our speakers. The way that we do that, I'm going to press N and create an object called EZDAC tilde. And that stands for Easy Digital Audio Converter, and that just means a speaker. Okay, cool. So now we can hear it. Great. The lovely tunes Kate Bush. So now we have audio playing, but then how do we connect it to our video? How do we make something audio reactive? And so Vizzie has some modules that you can use. If you go to Control and then I always forget where they're under. They're under Generate. That makes sense. And there's one called Audio Splitter. And there's one called Follower that we'll need. Follower. Great. And so these will extract different parts of the audio that we can use as like input Vizzie data. And let's just connect it and see what we get. Oh, what happened here? Turned it off? Why? Anyway, and so now we can see that we have like some data that's flowing in these, and you kind of might just be like, I don't really know what this data is. And we're gonna visualize the audio in order to see what these things are. So the follower is like an envelope follower, and the audio splitter is using is like extracting different frequency components. So I'm just looking in the chat and I see I have two questions here. It's one that's called, well, what was the object you've created for live.gain? So I clicked N and I just typed live.gain, and then it turns it into this volume slider. The other question is why not use beep objects? So that's another thing over here where it says beep. And beep objects are really awesome, but they're kind of designed to be like modular synthesizers, and that's not necessarily, or be similar to modular synthesizers. That's not necessarily what we're doing here. So I'm just not using them, but you could. There's no reason not to. Okay, so now coming back here, I want to visualize this audio. We're going to create two objects. One is called scope tilde, and one is called spectroscope. Spectroscope tilde. Oh, I'm running out of real estate here. I have to scroll around. Okay, so now if I connect this here, so that's our spectroscope and this is our scope. And so the spectroscope is showing us all the different frequencies that are in the audio that's playing, and this is showing us like what the waveform is. And this is like what you would see in like audio software, and this is what you would see if you were doing like EQing and filtering and wanted to know what the audio looked like. And so what the follower is doing is that it's looking at the actual envelope here of the audio, and then the audio splitter is looking at the frequency components here. Cool. Okay, so now what I could do is, I could connect this follower to this crossfade. And if I go back here, I'm gonna turn up the audio a little bit so we can kind of like, you can hear what that looks like. Yeah, and then that feels more audio reactive. Cool, let me actually loop this so our song will keep playing. I just clicked on this command, clicked on this loop. Okay, cool. I'm gonna turn down this audio again. And then what I'm gonna do is, cool. Let me just look at my notes. It's hard reading the chat and trying to speak. Now we're going to, okay, so now I'm inserting this follower, and we have some audio that we're using to change this. We can see it's audio reactive. Next thing I want to do is show you other ways to process the audio. So we have these two ones. I could plug in this one, and then our crossfader would move kind of like differently. You can see it's like moving less kind of in time to here. Another thing you could do is I've included this object that I made called, if I can type N and type tap tempo. And so this is an object that allows us to like tap the tempo along with the song in order to get some audio output. And then if I want to see the interface, I have to click on this green arrow and then go to transform patcher to B patcher, and then I can see the interface. So then here, what I could do is I could tap along here and get some outputs. I'm like, don't want to play too much of the song and do this, but just know that that is possible. I'm actually going to use this object called F0 tilde, and this will give us some, it's not going to be like a beat detector, but it'll give us some, it'll let us know when some like beats and notes have started. And if I like hover over the third outlet, we'll see it says onset detected. And so what that means is that it'll output what's called a bang in Max, that we know that there's a beat. So yeah, and so I can visualize this with like a button. You can see that it's like, it's sending a bang every time there's a beat. And then what I want to do is I want to have this, what I want is for every time there's like a note, I want to trigger another, this video to change. So I'm going to click folder video. So I have this video. And then if I give this movie folder a value between 0 and 1, then I'll just switch to a video. But I want to give it a random value between 0 and 1. And the way that I do that is for unimportant reasons, generating a random number between 0 and 1 max is not straightforward. I don't really know why, but the easiest way that I know how to do it is to use an object called JS trigger. And this just means that it's running JavaScript. You just gotta trust me on this one. And then type math.random. Just don't even worry about this. Just accept it. Sometimes max objects feel logical, and this is like a piece of software that's been around for 30 years, so some stuff doesn't make sense. So now if I want to like see that this is generating a bunch of values, I can type, I can go up here and to the top, there's a box called numbers. And there's one called number, and it says number I, and there's a number on it that says flownum, and I want flownum. So I'm going to drag that in. You can also type F for float. Cool. So then click that here. So we can see now it's generating a lot of random numbers. So I'm going to connect our JS trigger to our movie folder. And then we can see that this other video is changing. I'm going to turn up the audio for a moment so we can see that working. Let me just scroll over here. Yeah, you see it changing the video in time. Cool. So that's really fun. Audio reactive stuff. What other audio reactive stuff do I have here? I think that's all I wanted to do for now. But yeah, some Vizzie modules, and then also you can use the tap tempo. And so what I could do with the tap tempo is, sorry, let me just do this again. Transform patcher to be patcher. If I had listened to a song and like tapped along and then just been like, here, I'm locking the patch and then just like tapping along. Say I had some tempo and then I turn this metro on, then I could put this into the JS trigger. Let me delete this F01. Sorry, getting a little messy here. We can see that it's like changing the video. We can see it up here. It's like changing the video every beat. So that's another thing you could do. Cool. Wow. I have a few more things to show you that are about working with audio and doing some audio manipulation. And I don't want to go too much over 1 hour because I know it's kind of like the limit for how much humans can take in information, but let's do a little bit of audio manipulation. And I'll show you how you could input video to audio, which is pretty fun. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this. Cool. Sorry, just trying to remember what I need to do. So I'm going to create a new patch and make it full screen and then paste in my audio stuff. Go back to, sorry, I'm just trying to like manage all my windows. I don't need this Vizzie fun anymore. I have my audio. See if there's a question about the tap tempo. So if you can't get it to work, you need to put it in your Max 8 library folder, or else Max won't be able to find it in like the search path. Yeah, so if it's like in your downloads, then it's not going to be able to find it. You can add folders to your search path, but I'm not going to show you how to do that. Just FYI. Okay, so now let's do some sound file manipulation. So I can just play this. We can hear some audio. Great. So we know how to do that, but let's say we want to do more stuff. So we can do things like we can have multiple audio files. The way that we do that is we would go into audio here. And maybe I could drag in another thing. And if you're using playlist, you want to not drag on top, but like underneath. So then they'll be both in this playlist. And playlist is literally like a music playlist, like on Spotify or iTunes or whatever. And if we send messages to this, it'll tell us it'll control which thing is playing, which song is playing. My gosh. Okay. If you send 0, it stops them all. If you send a message with 1, it plays the first one. If you send a message with 2, it'll play multiple. Okay, so I'm going to do that. If I play 1, you can see it starts playing the first one. Sorry, so loud. But again, now we just created like a music player, and that's kind of boring. Sorry, let me zoom in so we can see better. But let's add some more fun stuff. So what we can do is change the playback speed. And the way that we do that is we can send a speed, we could send, and then like a number, which is like 1 is normal speed. We could send like 0.5, and then it's going to be half speed. If I play the second one and I send speed, we hear it's half speed. That's pretty fun. You could also reverse it. You could do like -1. Note that I have to press the speed in order to like get it to play again. Cool. And so one thing you might want to do is actually not have to edit this message every time. And the way that you do that is you can set this to be like a variable, which you do by changing this to $1. And then you you send to this inlet a floating point number. So I'm going to type F to get my floating point box up. And then if I change, let's say I like have this playing. Is it playing? Okay, so yeah, it's like reverse. So then I could do like 0.5. Oh, sorry, I have to lock my patch in order to type in here, 0.5. And now it's like slower. I could make it like 0.1 and we hear it's like really low. Yeah, I like you working with the low speeds because then you can just like barely tell what the original song is. Yeah, speed is really fun. Another thing you can do is change the loop selection. And that, again, you can just get fun audio manipulation. So I could do message, selection, and selection is a value between 0 and 1. So I can make this like 0.1, because these are like songs are probably pretty long, or probably. I can make the 0.101. Cool, let's send this. Send the selection, then press 1. Oh, cool, because our speed is so low. Fun, like how that sounds. If you wanted to have these like floating point number things, what you could also do is, I'm not gonna explain how this works. You're just gonna use it. We need to create, so the issue, we can't just do, I'm just gonna say, I wish that we could just do selection. Oh gosh, selection, $1, $2, and then this would have like more inlets. But the problem is that like this would need these two values like already in a list like this, and our floating point number can only send one number rather than two. And so the way that we can like create lists and stuff is we need to use an object called pack. Actually, with there is an object called pack, and there's one called PAK, which is pronounced pake to denote the difference. But yeah, take. And then this allows us to like do this in the way that we want to. So then I would type 0 dot, and these are just initial values. And then we see if I hover over this, it says symbol to be the element 1 in the list. And that's actually selection here, and we don't want to change this. It says float to be element 2. And then this one says float to be element 3. And that's exactly what we want. So then I can make 2 float boxes, put these in here, connect this here. And then I can make this, let me lock my patch. I can make this 0.1, and then I can make this like 0.1001. Yeah, and then I have this like, I'm looping this like really small segment, right? Sorry, just trying to change my object size so I can see 1001. Yeah, cool. So that's how you do that. And that's how you can get more interesting audio playback manipulation. So now I just want to like drag in some audio effects that these I made ahead of time. And you can kind of think of these like, Vizzie modules, but I have like a delay, which is like the audio delay, and then also a filter. And we're just going to copy and paste these in. I recommend just doing this. This is included. It's number 10 audio effects. Gonna copy all of these. This is a really nice thing about Max. You can just copy and paste stuff in and then just use it. So this delay is like a thing that wrote for a different workshop, but this filter stuff is literally just copied from the biquad tilde help patch. So yeah, this is, and you could see what this looks like. None of this is very complicated, and I'm just not going to explain it right now because we just want to use these audio effects. We'll learn, if you want to learn how this all works, you can learn it eventually. So I'm just going to put this in my audio chain, right? Like I need to process this audio between sending it to my speaker. So I'm going to connect all this in. Notice I'm connecting for both audio channels. I'm going to put this in the middle, and now I can, let's make my selection a little bit longer. Let's make this 0. Gotta lock my patch type in here, 0.2, and let's make my playback speed like 0.2. And if I hit 1, okay, we have some audio. And then let's try playing with these. So delay is gonna like have the audio repeat itself, and the filter is just gonna change what frequencies are passing through, and we can play with that. So I can make this delay longer. Oh, I gotta put in some feedback. Cool. This is fun. I like doing this and like totally manipulating a song so I can't hear what it is at all. And so now we have all these numbers. Like this is great because now that we have these audio effects, we have these numbers that we could use a video as input, right? So you can actually use videos themselves as input. So let's do that. And then that'll be the end, and I will stop talking. We can like play around with the stuff. Last fun example. So I'm going to go to Vizzie and I'm going to click on, you can also use the search for player if you're just like cannot remember what section it's under, which happens to me all the time. So then I want to drag in a video to here. And if I go to video, and then I click on jellyfish, then I have my jellyfish playing. And then what I could do is a few different things. So this is a value between 0 and 1, right? And actually, if I just output, so what could I put it in? I could put it in the playback speed, right? Oh, you have to put set. I think that'll work, maybe. What's that doing? Can we hear anything? Oh, it's paused. It's like, huh. Let's actually see what this value is looking like. I'm gonna use my shift trick. Cool, it's not outputting anything. I think that's a thing that just happens with Vizzie modules. Like with a video, if you connect this video to, like I connected this, for example, to a oscillator, has connected this here, we'll notice that the frequency was just changing. What it's actually doing is that it's averaging the red, green, and blue values for this whole video and then converting it to a 0 and 1 number. But I think that's happening within the Vizzie module. That would be too magical. Just wanted it to work. But anyway, so with Vizzie, we can extract just the red, green, and blue values, but there's also specific modules in here that can extract other stuff. So I like this one called, if I go to generate, there's this one called Scanliner that will just get different, that looks at like one row of pixels in this video and will extract, oh no, different pixel values. And so then this is giving us a value between 0 and 1. And we could connect it to anything about this audio. We could connect it to this feedback, right? And then if I press 1, don't know why I don't have any audio. Let's reset the selection here. Let's make this 0, make this 1. Maybe let's play this one. Oh no, what did I do? This is what happens when you live code. Clear filter, yeah, let's do it. Fun. Love it when this happens. Who knows what I did? Sometimes you can just delete stuff and put it back in. Did I turn off audio? No. What else could I have done? Oh, if you make the playback speed 0, it's probably at the playback speed is 0. I'm gonna say that that's it, because that is something, yeah. Oh, that's something I've done so many times in showing this. If the playback speed is 0, then it's not going to play. Oh my gosh. Okay. Okay, let's make this low again because I like it when it's low. Cool. So now it's playing. We have our scan liner, and now we can set this to change an attribute that we want. What I want it to change is the filter cutoff frequency. But notice that our filter cutoff frequency, if I lock this, we'll see it's like a value between 20 to whatever it is, 40, well, half of 44.1 kilohertz and 20 hertz. And so we need to remap this value. And this is a really important max object that's called scale. Let me turn this audio off so we don't have to, so I can think. And the way that we do that is we can take our 0 and 1 value and map it to the range that we want. And so this is sort of like once you've gone beyond Vizzie and like everything isn't a 0 or 1 value, unfortunately. There are all kinds of different ranges. And so what this does is you set the input range and then you can set the output range. So I know that their input is a value between 0 and 1, and our output is a value between 20 and 22,050. That's half of 44.1. And then I can connect this scale to this, and we'll see our filter changing. Oh, let me lock patch. Okay. Actually lock it. One thing to note about this is like, this is cool, but one thing about audio, or one thing about the frequency is that like the hearing of like different frequency ranges is actually a non-linear scale, and by default scale is linear. And I can show you this real quick. If I just put in, I'm going to disconnect this, or I'm going to disconnect this, and then I'm going to put in an Vizzie object called fader. So this just gives us a slider of the value between 0 and 1. You'll notice that if I have this slider at 0, then it's at 0. But by the time I'm at 50%, it's already basically at the end. That's not what I want. And the way that I fix that is I add in another value to this, which changes it to like an exponential scale. So put that in, and then we can see that now this is maybe mapping closer to the data we're getting out of this scanliner. Wow, now I have this like glitchy thing. And wow, this is like cool. Like we're using this audio manipulation, these audio effects, and then using our video to control our audio. Very fun. And so that's all I had planned for audio and video manipulation. Hope that was fun. I'm gonna make this file called audio fun. And really make sure if you are happy with this, save a snapshot. There are other ways of saving your state that I'm not going to go into because we're out of time. But yeah, I hope you learned something and enjoyed seeing how you can feed audio and video back into each other. And that's really like the power of Max, is that you can take any type of data, whether it be audio, video, from like a sensor, from like from like a spreadsheet. I was going to say API, but I feel like that's a word that some people don't know. You take data from anywhere and transform it to anything by using things like scale, using all these different transformation options. Lastly, I just want to like show you that in this GitHub repository, I have linked to some next steps for stuff you can learn. There's like a getting started page on the website. There's like an online course, and there's like tons of stuff you can do. I also just recommend like opening up the Vizzie objects, looking in the help file, playing around. Like there's so much, I've learned so much in Max just by like opening the help file, copy and pasting stuff. It's really like a great environment for just like playing around and like trying stuff out. And if it doesn't sound good, you can just delete it. But thank you so much for watching. For those of you who are in the workshop, we can try to like make some stuff together with all this stuff. So stay tuned to those of you, but otherwise, hope you enjoyed and have a great rest of your day. Thanks. I'm gonna stop my screen sharing now.